This session is about reframing emissions from just a compliance cost to a strategic advantage. When was the last time you took a look at a regulatory requirement and thought, how can I not just comply, but turn this into a business advantage? That's exactly what we are exploring today. Emissions management isn't just about compliance anymore. It's about unlocking real commercial value. So I'll start a bit with the big picture and talk a bit about how a single reliable source of emissions data can transform your operations. And then I'm thrilled to welcome Dorina Schwartz from Hapag-Lloyd to discuss how collaboration and data are shaping the future of their emissions management. So let's dive in. Building on Eirik Nyhus's excellent points earlier, let's state the obvious. In recent years, shipping has faced a wave of new emissions regulation. It's been a real challenge, and it has pushed us all to rethink how we are operating. Then came 2024, the game changer. With taxes now tied to emissions data in the EU, the demand for accuracy and transparency on the emissions data across the value chain skyrocketed. And it's no longer enough to check in with this data once per year. We now need continuous oversight, ongoing adjustments, and regular settlements. It's a must. And this isn't just about compliance anymore. It's about thriving in a world where every ton of emissions has a price tag. With these challenges, the industry needs an emissions data ecosystem to enable seamless verified data to be exchanged from source to any use case. And we need cross-value chain collaboration. But true collaboration only works if we manage to speak the same language. And in emissions reporting, this didn't exist. Different systems and stakeholders all spoke different dialects. This is why we, over the last 10 years, have been developing the Operational Data Standard, the OVD, which brings clarity, consistency, and interoperability to emissions data. And it's not theory. It's happening in practice. Thanks to our large data partner network, over 50,000 vessels worldwide now speak this same OVD language. So, a quick recap. The game has changed. Emissions now have a direct financial impact and require continuous oversight. Number two, the industry needs an emissions data ecosystem. And number three, a large part of the global fleet already have the ability to speak the same language. And so now 2025 and FuelEU maritime regulation is upon us. This regulation, amongst other things, introduces cross-fleet collaboration as an option for compliance. The regulation as a whole opens up new business risks, but also business opportunities. But opportunities that are only really available for those that have good control over their operational data. So where does DNV fit into this landscape? We have always been a trusted partner, but trust alone is no longer enough. The industry needs trust and connectivity. Without seamless data connectivity, emissions data is fragmented, inaccessible, and underutilized. With our data partner network, we can connect to emissions data from the global fleet and link it to the statutory services and link it to continuous verification at operational level via Emissions Connect, all the while making this quality assured data available back to our customers so they can safely and easily connect it to their other use cases. In short, working smarter, not harder with the data. And because many of our customers also rely on other providers, we created the Veracity Solution Partner Program, which enables seamless integration of the verified data into other tools as well. So to round up, emissions management has shifted from a compliance cost to a commercial advantage. And the regulatory demands are now outpaced by the commercial requirements, making granular, verified data essential to staying competitive and fulfilling obligations. So let's get a bit further into it. with Dorina from Hapag-Lloyd joining us here to talk a little bit about how they are tackling this challenge. Welcome so much, Dorina. Could you share with us a bit how you have been approaching the handling of emissions data and the emissions management, and what were your main drivers and concerns?
Thank you so much, Lina. It's great to be here. So from our perspective, as an operator in the industry that has different responsibilities, let's say, towards that data handling, we also have different data requirements. We have vessels that we own and that we manage ourselves, for which we really have to be on top of the data to the minute to take care of all the issues beforehand, especially when we look at the time frames we have for verification at the end of the year becoming shorter and shorter. We really have to stay on top of this. Then we have owned vessels that we give to third-party managers where we are still the owner, still in some way responsible. So we have some due diligence here to fulfill, to stay on top of their data as well. And then, of course, we also have chartered vessels, where we also have an economic perspective to make sure that the data reporting is correct, that we receive the data beforehand during the year already in order to make sure that our strategy in terms of treasury, of buying EUAs is working out. So all of this has to be correct, and for this we need reliable data, but also data which stays flexible enough for our data analytics requirements.
Very good. And what are the expectations you get from your customers and stakeholders towards this emission reporting?
Yeah, first of all, the stakeholders in-house have several requirements towards us to have this data available in good quality, in the format they need, to the minute pretty much. And then we also want to, of course, live up to the expectations that customers rightfully have towards Hapag-Lloyd to report correctly. And in both cases, we look at very high expectations, and even an error margin of 1% would not be enough here. So we look at 0 point something to be as exact as we can be for this data.
Both for settlements, I guess, but also for the strategic looking into the future of the operation.
Exactly.
So as you point out, you're operating a large fleet of vessels with different roles, and I'm assuming that having transparency across all vessels and aggregate to fleet level can be quite a challenge. So how are you ensuring consistency in practice?
I think the first step here is that we as an industry across all stakeholders have to understand and align on the fact that data sharing will become more and more necessary. And I think as an industry, we are not really there yet. Nevertheless, we already achieved a good level of data sharing with many. Not forgetting to mention that this is also, of course, happening in your tool in Emissions Connect. We had a first mover here with C-SPAN, and we can share data really down to the leg level, and this enables us to quite quickly check on the errors. So it's not only making sure the data is correct, it's also how fast you can do this and how much manpower you need for this. So as any step that the software can take over for this is helpful. And when we check on the data from the source of an external party and ourselves, we also have the advantage that we can improve the data quality on both sides. Because errors can come from so many sources. Having interfaces, having new regulations coming in, and new interpretation of that. So as much as we can compare data and dive into the source of an error, as much we can also influence the data quality in the end.
Fantastic. Both reduced effort in collaboration and increased accuracy?
In the best case, yes.
Very good. So what would you say have been the main influencing factor on your data quality?
I think the basis is to develop a common understanding about the data requirements in the first place and what it means exactly. And the game changer here is really whether you work together with different parties and share your learnings and share the mistakes you find, or whether you don't do this.
So looking a bit into the future, what is your vision for the future, and where do you aim to advance your emissions management capabilities to, and which future needs do you foresee come on the agenda?
Well, I think first of all, we have built the foundation that we need now to tackle the challenges that keep rising, I would say. And this enables us to implement the necessary solutions to mitigate risks that also come with these rising regulations, and also increase our competitive advantage that you also already referred to, as it's the price tag on this now. And in the long run, I think we will need more detailed and automated data sharing also across the industry to the last party not yet using this maybe. And I think we are quite far from all parties really using the same systems, the same languages here. So we need to be able to combine data sources wherever they come from. And we can only achieve this together, I think. And I'm very confident that Hapag-Lloyd can remain a first mover here in terms of realizing what the impact of these regulations really is, and adjusting and fine-tuning our processes accordingly.
Thank you very much for sharing such good insights and observations, and for joining us here today, Dorina.